It's time to remember the Sabbath. Uh, Over the last few years, Black Sabbath has really taken off to being one of my all-time favorite bands, period. They're definitely in my top three at this point. Sometimes I almost question if they're number one, almost dethroning Celtic Frost, which is fucking insane for me to say. But the first like six albums from Sabbath are undeniable, and I'm here to show my collection of Sabbath. What I have so far, it's an incomplete collection, which I don't think I'll ever complete my Sabbath, to be honest, because I just want as much as humanly possible. But I'll show you what I got, and we'll start off with the coolest thing I have. I showed this in one video recently, but I'll show it again. My Black Sabbath Wicked World X-ray record from Soviet Russia. Actually, Wicked World pressed on a real X-ray. Pretty cool. Then, I'm not going to take this one out of the sleeve because, well, it's kind of pointless. There's nothing inside. This isn't a gatefold or anything, but we have the debut from Black Sabbath. This is a reissue from, I couldn't tell you when. I've had this for a long time. But what a fucking debut, man. My God. Favorite song from this is probably NIB or The Wizard. I hate to be that guy to pick singles, but those songs are just fucking incredible. Wicked World, of course, is great. Bit of Finger Sleeping Village, A Warning. Excellent. I mean, every song on here is just great. Not their best work by any means, in my opinion, but it's still phenomenal. Then we move on to the second album, Paranoid. This is an OG press that my dad has had forever. And I commandeered this from him. And as you will see, it is in terrible condition. The jacket's in pretty decent condition considering its age, but the record itself is just, has seen way better days. So it wasn't worth me keeping this as a playing copy. So, I want to say maybe 6 years ago, I picked up a reissue. And very glad I did. Side A, I could live forever without hearing again. I've heard War Pigs, Paranoid, and Iron Man to the fullest extent humanly possible. Planet Caravan's cool, but it's not really worth mentioning. Side B, on the other hand, Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, Fairies Wear Boots. Whoo! Those songs are banging. I fucking love Side B to this record. Side A, I could live without. Side B, it's just so good. And I'm not saying anything bad about War Pigs, Paranoid, or Iron Man. Those are excellent riffs in their own right and excellent songs in their own right. And they were my favorite Sabbath songs, but I've just heard them too much. And I feel like there's a lot of people in the same camp as me there, where they've just been overplayed to death. This is on blue vinyl with the green Warner Brothers label. Sadly, I have no Vertigo pressings, I don't think, of Sabbath. All mine are of Warner Brothers. But still pretty cool. Very happy to have this, that's for sure. If I can get this in the goddamn sleeve. You know, let me fight this off camera. Moving along, we have my favorite Black Sabbath album, and how I phrase the question to everyone is, what is your favorite Sabbath album, and why is it Master of Reality? This is the OG press with the textured jacket. I'm not going to take it out. The record is destroyed. This was my dad's, but yeah, I took this from him just to have it on the shelf. This is just such a great record, but I had to buy a reissue of it so I could listen to it. And I have played this motherfucker to death. Um, every song on this is just incredible. But my favorite song, by far, is Lord of This World. It is the heaviest song Sabbath has written. It is probably the realest song they have ever written lyrically. And it is just a masterpiece. This album is a masterpiece. This is probably the greatest metal album ever made. And it's insane to think of how far ahead of its time it was. 1971. Like, what the fuck? It doesn't even make sense. This is a gatefold. Of course, Sweet Leaf, absolute classic for a reason. Children of the Grave, classic for a reason. After Forever, phenomenal song, and really the first Christian rock song. It's just fucking awesome. Solitude. That's another interesting track to me, because Solitude, I thought for years was Bill Ward singing, because Bill Ward sings It's All Right on Technical Ecstasy, and he has a totally different voice than Ozzy. But it's actually Ozzy singing Solitude, and that blows my mind because it sounds nothing like his usual. It's fucking insane. If you haven't heard this album, be prepared when you get to Solitude. And of course, the final song, Into the Void. What a fucking ripper. This is the blueprint for all doom. This is the blueprint for metal. This is the blueprint for heavy music, period. Like, if this album cannot be oversold enough, in my opinion. And this is on green vinyl, very fitting for the lyrics. And of course, it being one of the first stoner albums ever. Stoner metal, we'll call it that. Gave birth to it. And I believe this reissue is from 2016. So I've had it since 2016. And it sounds actually incredible. Then moving along, we come to a very beaten OG copy of Volume 4 that I picked up for $2. It doesn't really play. The gatefold is destroyed. There's no pages in it. But I figured it was cool to have an OG sitting on the shelf, so we got Volume 4. In fact, I love it so much, when it's not cold out, I wear this Volume 4 hat. I love Volume 4. But of course, I had to pick up a copy for myself back in probably 2016, 2017 era of Volume 4. And even though this is like the Sunshine California album from Sabbath, it still has some very dark moments. I mean, realistically, it's a pretty dark album overall, considering it's upbeat in one way because it's about cocaine, but it's dark because it's about cocaine. And the band was so blasted out of their fucking gourds on coke, it's unreasonable. In fact, one of my favorite stories ever in music history is the story of, I believe it was when they were recording this album in particular. It was either this album or Master of Reality. I can't remember. But I believe it was Master, because Master is what gave them the money for cocaine. If I'm correct in that. They had punch bowls filled with weed and filled with coke, and Ozzy accidentally hit the panic button in the house to alarm security. And he panicked and flushed all the coke and all the weed down the toilet. When the police show up, Tony Iommi went out and was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Ozzy hit the button." And the cops were like, "All right, cool, see you later." So he flushed it for nothing. Fucking insane. But favorite songs from this: Wheels of Confusion, Tomorrow's Dream. I fucking hate Changes. Supernaut, Snowblind, Cornucopia, Laguna Sunrise, St. Vitus Dance, Under the Sun. All great songs. I fucking hate Changes, though. Terrible song. I feel so happy. Shut up. Look at how blasted that man is on coke. All of them. But man, Ozzy is just fucking zooming. Crazy to think Sabbath playing a venue that small. And in fact, they even say on here, at the very bottom, we would like to thank the great Coca-Cola Company of Los Angeles. But regardless, this is just a phenomenal album. If Changes wasn't on here, it would probably be my... If Master of Reality didn't exist and Changes wasn't on here, this would be my favorite Sabbath album. But it's my second favorite. Because Master exists. But yeah, Volume 4 is just extremely solid. Love this album to death. I can't get over just how great riffs like Supernaut and Wheels of Confusion, Snowblind are. Those are just some of the best fucking riffs. Then we have probably my third favorite Sabbath. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. This is a reissue from, I believe, 2016. Nothing on the inside, so I'm not going to bother, but this is just a great fucking album. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, National Acrobat, Sabracadabra. Sabracadabra is one of my favorite Sabbath songs, period. And it's one that has a special meaning to me. Killing Yourself to Live, another one that's phenomenal. Who Are You? Let's talk about Who Are You for a moment. My God, what a song. All synthesizer and drums with, I believe, a guitar solo. But it's been a minute since I've listened to it. But holy shit, Ozzy's voice on that song over the synthesizers works so fucking well. And the synths are heavy, surprisingly. It's such a great song. And this is just a great album. If you haven't listened to Sabbath Bloody Sabbath front to back and you've only heard like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Killing Yourself to Live, you're missing out on a fucking world, man. This album's great. Absolutely great. Same thing for this one. And this is, in my opinion, the final great Sabbath album up until 13. I really enjoy 13. But of the original era, Sabotage. What a goddamn masterpiece, man. Hole in the Sky. If you don't know the riff to Hole in the Sky, just go. This is Sabbath at like their most progressive, their most almost psychedelic. It's just really interesting. Symptom of the Universe. Just so many phenomenal songs on here. Megalomania, Thrill of It All, Am I Going Insane, The Writ, like, it's a very proggy, almost experimental album from Sabbath, but it's an experiment that paid off in dividends. Phenomenal album. Now, this is where shit goes downhill, in my opinion, and it takes a sharp turn. Technical Ecstasy. This is an OG. I forgot I had OGs of some of these. Actually, the rest of these are all OGs. I only like one song on this, and it doesn't even have Ozzy singing. First of all, what a terrible album cover. Robots banging on an escalator. But second, It's Alright is a great song. Everything else on this record sucks, in my opinion. Such a letdown for me. Coming off of Sabotage to Technical Ecstasy, I'll never understand it. I need to give it some more time, I guess, but it just never clicks with me. Same for this fucking album, Never Say Die. This isn't Sabbath, man. It really isn't. I don't think of upbeat, happy-sounding heavy metal when I think of Sabbath. I think of doom. And, like, you're not going to find that on here. Nor are you going to find it in this era that should have never fucking happened. The Dio era. Now, let me get this disclaimer out of the way. I like Dio solo. I don't care for Ozzy solo. I love Ozzy and Sabbath, but I hate Dio and Sabbath. Heaven and Hell, one good song, Children of the Sea. The rest of this album can fuck right off. Then, we have Mob Rules. The album's so bad, I never finished listening to it. And that's the honest truth. I made it through side A. I looked at the track listing. I said, there's no fucking way I'm making it through side B. And I never did. It's in great shape. It plays good. I got it for cheap. But this ain't Sabbath, man. This is some generic-ass heavy metal bullshit. What's closer to Sabbath, I guess, and this is the final record I'm going to show, and I hate to end it on such a sour note, but it's closer to old school Sabbath in some ways, but it's a fucking terrible record that everybody hates. Born Again. Oof. 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 This really is not a good album at all. Ian Gillan should never join Sabbath. They should have called it a day when Ozzy left, in my opinion. But Tear is a good album, I guess, for what it is. And I haven't listened to much of the other ones, but I do have 13 on CD, and I love 13. I think that's actually a phenomenal return to form for Sabbath, even though it doesn't have Bill Ward, and that's the only thing about the album I don't like, is it's not the original lineup. But discounting that, my God, Live Forever, God is Dead, those songs are just so fucking good. But it sounds like classic Sabbath. But anyways, I'm going to end the video here because I could just rant about Sabbath for hours. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I'll put links to full albums down below. And that's it. Have a good one. Later.